Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause here, and I came across this clip and wanted to show it to you because it is absolutely hilarious. So let's have a listen to it.
Let's talk about this tweet. The president retweeted
CNN, of course. Fake news or fraud news network.
this WrestleMania stuff of him punching somebody with a CNN logo on their head. It appears that the
That was absolutely hilarious, by the way. It was fan made, and it was basically, Trump goes out and, in WWE stuff, everybody knows it's fake, and I think it was Jim McMahon, but they put the CNN logo over the head of Jim McMahon, and Trump just takes him down. Or Vince McMahon, sorry, not Jim McMahon, and he takes him down, and it was absolutely hilarious. And now the media is trying to make it out to be like Trump's inciting violence against the media, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
origin of that video was from the Reddit
Here it
account
is.
of somebody with just sickening anti-Semitic and racist rants on their account. What's your response to this?
Well, I don't know.
Okay, so apparently Trump's supposed to go through everybody retweets and look through everything they've tweeted in the past and make sure there's been nothing racist or at all on there. So apparently they've made other racist comments or whatever. You know what? They probably have. It's probably like some alt-right bozo, but this is where I can't trust. Like, normally I would just be like, okay, yeah, this was a person who tweeted some racist stuff. Okay, but I wouldn't hold it against Trump anyways. But now I'm not even going to the point of giving that to them because they lie about everything. It's like, well, what, they say some anti-Muslim thing that now it's like you're going to call that, bigoted, or they say anti-Semitic. So what were they, what they say about a Jew, or did they report on a story of a, false accusation about the, fake swastikas and stuff? I mean, so you never know with these, with the CNN bullshit, what they're coming up with. So I can't trust anything they say at all. This is why you shouldn't lie nonstop. Because now I can't even trust that this account actually was a racist account. Even though the good chances are most likely it was.
Anything about what you just said in terms of whose account it was or anything like that, I have no idea.
Yeah, how the fuck's he supposed to know?
I've been critical of the president's tweets before. I think that, but
he's a representative of Virginia. How the hell is he supposed to know something that particular?
if I could give some objective advice to you, I think you guys are getting played, man. I think every time he does this, you guys overreact, and I say you guys, I mean the media in general. You overreact.
He's talking about CNN. I mean, this applies to the media in general, but if you listen to what he's actually saying, he's talking specifically about CNN, because he just doesn't want to get cut off, and he knows that the etiquette says he's not supposed to attack the show he's on. So he's now trying to say, well, not actually CNN, but just like media in general. No, he's talking specifically about CNN. Everything he's going to say after this is pretty particular to CNN.
And you play right into his hands. I mean, ironically, CNN reported on him learning politics from the World Wrestling Federation in 2015. And now you're like, oh my God, he's inciting violence. I don't think any American.
Look at her face.
Most Americans, excuse me, certainly some maybe, but most Americans out there believe that he's inciting violence from a WWF clip.
Right.
So I think here you are.
Right. Notice how she's like, right. So, and then, yeah, right. We should be talking about these tweets nonstop, but let's continue.
And I've watched hold on a second. I've watched your segments, and you keep talking about this. There's tons of news out there. Let's talk about real issues.
No, That is a pretty broad statement. Tons of news, like, he's not defining certain subjects here. He's just saying news. You think this would be pretty objectively true that, there's tons of news they could be talking about. Every time I pause it, there's some ridiculous expression on her face. But, I mean, like, and I could go out and find news. I do go out and find news out there that's, not dealing with Trump tweets on a regular basis. CNN should be able to do that pretty easily. And watch what she comes back with in the next, couple minutes, I guess it is.
Yeah. We've been told these are official presidential statements. Is the Twitter account of POTUS an official statement or not?
So what? It's an official statement. So why does that mean you only have to cover tweets? You could ignore an official statement. How many official statements does Trump make that you don't cover? Literally, pretty much everything Trump says is an official statement, for crying out loud.
Well, I mean, I know that there's two accounts there. Mm-hmm. There's one that's unofficial, there's one that's official.
The official president of the United States account. So is this a presidential statement?
Listen, as I said to you, I would prefer the president not make.
So Trump has two accounts. One is at POTUS, President of the United States, and there's they have a bunch of them, like at FLOTUS as First Lady of the United States, and those are official. And then there's Trump has his at Real Donald Trump. So this wasn't retweeted from the at Real Donald Trump. In fairness, he probably should have tweeted it from at Real Donald Trump rather than at POTUS, but who fucking cares?
Some of these tweets. I've been critical on CNN as well too. I just think that this plays right. You guys are playing right into his hands. You overreact, and then he's able to use that politically. And
yeah, this is a guy who I think he was kind of coming on expecting to attack the president a little bit, to be honest. And he's having to defend the president because CNN is being so ridiculous. He's being pretty objective, so my guess is that he would have no problem attacking President Trump on some stuff.
I just think that...
And this advice he's giving her is spot on. They're falling into a trap, and they have nothing to gain from covering this other than, a financial benefit because it's good for ratings, I guess. But outside of that, they're ruining their credibility. They might get short-term ratings, but long-term, nobody's going to trust them. And what happens when Trump is gone and you get some boring president? Even if it's, it could be as soon as 3 years if Trump doesn't win re-election. And then what? You're going to be fucked. If this continues, CNN's going to collapse. I mean, who's going to watch CNN over... And I'm not even saying they're going to go to Fox News. They'll go to, MSNBC. It already happened. CNN used to destroy MSNBC. MSNBC was a joke compared to CNN. And now MSNBC is dominating CNN because CNN has no credibility left whatsoever. And MSNBC has their credibility problems, but even they are better than CNN at this point. His advice is spot on to quit covering the tweets and actually get to policy once in a while.
You guys, you got to start reporting on news. This is not really news.
Yeah.
I hear you. I get it.
No, you don't. You really don't, because what are you going to go to now? Okay, I hear you. I get it. Let's continue to talk about the tweets.
I share your feelings sometimes. What's confusing...
It doesn't seem like it. Here you are, covering the tweets.
Is when the president of the United States focuses on this. I'll show you how many tweets he's put out that are media attacks.
She says she gets it, and then she just continues to look at it like, oh God, are you fucking kidding me? I guess we really are gonna talk about this the entire time.
94 of his tweets Our attacks on media versus 29 on the military and what's happening with our veterans. So where's his focus?
Well, when the media is constantly attacking him, he responds to those attacks. I would say that that Trump has been counterpunching this entire time, but this is how you get into a cycle where it's not exactly clear anymore who started what, and is this a continuation of past, confrontations? Is this a continuation from the campaign, or is it something new? Are all these individual incidences? Is Trump actually starting this, or is he actually responding to false coverage of him? It's really hard to determine. And now what's going to happen is CNN's going to attack him back for this video, and then he's going to attack them back, and then CNN's going to attack him back, and it's a never-ending cycle, and we kind of lose, who actually started this. We don't actually know. Someone at some point is just going to have to stop, but the media has a lot of other stuff they could cover, even if they wanted to still cover the tweets. And, 29 on the military, a lot of stuff on the military you don't want to talk about, but I don't know exactly how they're counting this stuff either. That's another thing. You always have to be skeptical about that. But, 68 are on jobs. So if you combine jobs in the military, you're at what? Basically 97. So those two together are more than attacks on the media. But I would say that the media establishment is actually an issue when Trump's talking about it, because their lack of integrity is a really serious problem for the country. It really is.
Well, I think that's interesting, because if you look at the media coverage, and I didn't come here to defend the president, but you're asking these questions.
I'm asking your opinion.
And when
Where's
you look at,
his
hold on a
focus?
second, I'm going to tell you. When you look at your focus and the media's focus, it's all attacking the president. It's been that way for a couple years. And you mentioned the 35%
But we're
that he
responding
had.
today to his
then
attack
he won
on
the
CNN.
presidency.
See, he's saying you're attacking the president, and she's like, but we're responding to his attacks. So we've kind of lost track of who really started this, and there's our definitional problems, and that's not too promising for the future of getting off this bullshit.
See,
We're responding to his attack of him punching CNN, Congressman.
Him punching CNN as if it's a fucking person. He laid the smackdown on the entity that is CNN. That's not against the law. That's not inciting. You can't incite violence against an entity like that. You incite violence against people. Okay? So, and to say this incites violence is just ridiculous.
Saying what you're saying, what I will tell you is that
'cause they're trying to equate this now. Keep in mind what Kathy Griffin or someone like that did when they're saying they're actually inciting violence against the president. Kathy Griffin held up a severed head. That's a little bit different than Trump laying the smackdown on Vince McMahon with CNN over Vince McMahon's head in a fake wrestling, which makes the whole thing even better because it represents fake news so well. Fake news, fake wrestling. The whole thing was brilliant.
I can tell you definitely, without a doubt, there's a lot of.
And the other one was the play, by the way, where they're doing a Caesar thing where it's a literal playing out of the assassination of Trump because they're dressing Caesar up to be Trump.
Focus on the VA. There are a lot of focus on veterans. There's a lot of focus on foreign policy. But you guys should cover that too.
And how is that evident? How would we
you're
know
falling
that?
into
Did she really just say that? How do you know that? How about you look at his fucking executive actions and cover those extensively? How about that? He's signed 30 or 40 of them. Do you expect an entire plan from this guy? on how to find out basic information. Jesus.
Congressman, where would we see that?
I'm actually just giving you.
Twitter's not the only place you can get information. That CNN is literally coming down to, like, she's making the argument that basically if it's not on Twitter, it's not evident. Oh my God.
Objective advice. You're actually falling into a trap by covering tweets all the time. There's a lot of news out there. There's a lot of focus on healthcare, a lot of focus on veterans, a lot of focus in the South China Sea. There's a lot of news out there to cover.
So why isn't the president talking about that?
He is talking about it. I see him talking about it. We're working with the White House on different.
She's like even kind of trying to turn this around, twist it around to eventually get him to take her side on something. But she hasn't found an angle that can. Their side is so far off into the weeds and so much bullshit that she can't even like twist this in a way that's effectively getting him, someone who's perfectly willing to take her side on something. But she hasn't been able to find an angle that will make her point, because it's just so much bullshit. They're so far apart.
Different initiatives out there that aren't being covered necessarily.
Okay.
I'm just giving you advice. I think you're falling into a trap.
Thank you. I accept your career advice. But
well, you need it. You need career advice. Not just you, but all of CNN needs career advice because you guys are going downhill fast. I mean, it's funny she words it that way because CNN employees have actually been fired recently. And the heads of CNN have completely changed policies so that Russia can't even be covered without going to pretty much the highest people within CNN. And, the CNN CEO is kind of on the hot seat now.
I'm curious, are you saying that we should begin now ignoring all the president's tweets? Because really...
Where the fuck did this come from? Yeah, because there's one tweet you covered that's so fucking stupid. Nobody will care about it. Or very few people care about it. And now you're turning this into, should we cover no tweets? No, there are some tweets that are clearly worth covering. Like, we had record jobs turnout or something like that. And then you can cover that. Like, anything on the healthcare actually the tweets you did cover on healthcare, those were reasonable. It's reasonable to cover that. That's a serious issue right now. Trump body slamming Vince McMahon or whatever he did with CNN's logo over Vince McMahon's head. That's not a reasonable tweet to be covering.
Vast majority.
Especially not to this extent. If you wanted to have a quick response, fine. But this is taking up like your entire media day.
That's not what I'm saying.
Are frivolous. As we've shown you with the numbers, you think that we should just start ignoring the president's tweets.
What I'd like for you to do, the next segment you have, is put the numbers up of your negative coverage of the president as well, too.
Boom! Drop the fucking mic. Because it would be like 100,000 comments about attacking President Trump.
Congressman, that is a, forgive me, crazy suggestion.
Why is it a crazy suggestion?
Because we are covering
because I've
the
watched your
president,
segments. I've been sitting here watching your segments.
Congressman.
The last 3 ones are all about these tweets. You're not covering the news. Cover the news.
And how do we know?
You cover the tweets. You should do that. But cover the news too.
Good. How do we know when the presidential tweet is newsworthy?
It's just amazing. This is so immature. How do you know when it's newsworthy? Is it a serious issue that affects the majority of Americans? Because, stuff like healthcare. If you're a CNN viewer, I want you to understand. Right now, her argument is, if it's not on Twitter, they have no way of determining what a serious issue is. CNN is so fucking out of touch through her argument that They don't even understand healthcare is a part of the issue, is a serious issue for you. They don't understand high premiums are a serious issue. They don't understand that the healthcare is in a death spiral and is collapsing under its own weight, and that's a serious issue for you. They don't understand that, in many places, healthcare isn't even available under Obamacare, and they don't understand unemployment is an issue if you lose your job, or minimum wage is an issue. There are so many serious issues. Foreign policy is even a serious issue. No, I'd say for the most part, Americans don't care quite as much about that until something really, really serious starts, like a war. But even, people care about that to some extent. That's worth covering, like North Korea. Auto warfare was a serious issue to cover. But because that shows how Americans are going to be treated abroad. But my God, she doesn't even understand how to determine what a serious issue is. Now, I mean, I'm speaking somewhat facetiously here because, of course, she does know. She's just plain dumb, but I'm just pointing out exactly how dumb this logic is, and how sophomoric this argument is. And I guess that's giving her too big of a compliment to call it sophomoric.
You got, like I just said, your whole segments are all about this.
Yes, how do
There's
we know?
a lot
Just
of
give
news
us,
out there.
give
Cover
me the
that, sure,
roadmap.
but
Give me
cover
the roadmap.
news.
How do we know when the president's tweet is newsworthy?
As I just said, you've covered his tweet. You covered it over and over and over again.
I
There's a lot
haven't
of
gotten
things to
your
talk about.
response.
He's just responding with saying that, you can still cover the tweets. He's not objecting to that. He's objecting to the amount of time. And she's ignoring the time argument, and she's saying, oh, well, we're going to the extreme. How do we know, if it's newsworthy when, the POTUS Twitter account is saying this, and you're saying we can't cover it, even though he's not saying that. So this is a clusterfuck of shit. Holy cow.
I'd love to talk about the news with you.
The reason that
I've already told you. I've been critical of the president.
Yes,
I don't
and
agree
are you
with the way
critical
that
of
he handles
this
his
one?
tweets.
Do you think this one was a mistake?
He deals with the
Of course,
media
I don't
really
think
well.
it makes sense to do that, but that's his.
Oh, there, we finally found an angle. 5 minutes in, that he agreed with her on the most basic of things, that he thinks that this tweet was a mistake. Jesus. Okay, now can we move on?
That's his decision to do that politically, and he will take either the successes or the consequences of making that politically. But I don't think that should make you do nothing but cover his tweet all day long. You got a lot of other things to cover.
I agree. We would love.
No, you agree? Then why are you doing this? This has got to be so frustrating for him. If you agree, why are you doing exactly what he's saying you shouldn't be doing, that you are agreeing with?
Love to be able to move on. We wish the president would talk about substance. We wish that the press briefings
Well, I thought we were going
all
to come on
free.
here and talk about.
The president constantly talks about substance. He just talked about how he had like 58 tweets about jobs. And, the other thing is, Twitter isn't the only method of getting things out. Like, there are a lot of things that he'll have a press conference or something, and he's not tweeting during the press conference. Or he'll, he does those big get-togethers with businesses where he lets the press in, and they basically say who they are and basically show who Trump's talking to, and Trump talks to him a little bit, and, there's all kinds of stuff like that you could be reporting on. I reported on how there was a, technological get-together, and how Trump was making a business deal pretty much right there to help this company that is trying to implement 5G, and it takes up to 2 years to get one little box the size of a toolbox installed, it'll take them up to 2 years for a single city, and they need to put it in every city throughout the entire United States. And he was asking Trump for help to get it in all of the cities, and to speed that process up. Did you report on it? I doubt it. But little old me sitting out of my, bedroom, I can frickin' report on it, and I can find this stuff that, people actually care about. And because, the switch to 5G when everybody's on their phone is a pretty serious switch, and people can't wait for that to happen. It'll make their internet more stable. So they're not dropping as much when they're on their phone. And, certain places that don't have internet will now. We don't need those big cell phone towers anymore. And all kinds of benefits about it. Increased internet speed, and you can also, give it to entire, office floors better. So that when many people are sharing, it doesn't slow down the internet as much. All kinds of stuff, but I bet you guys didn't cover that at all.
The South China Sea, about voter fraud, but here we are talking about the tweets, the whole segment. You're playing right into the political hands.
He's like, yeah, I got you, and she's like, you just had to say it, didn't you? Damn it, you got me.
Basically, I wanted to get your opinion on whether or not you thought this was a mistake for the president, and whether or not you think that Republican leadership should speak out against it. So,
it took 5.5 minutes to get that. You could have said that in the first 15 seconds, got a response, and moved on. No, you spent 5.5 minutes on this. Don't tell me you just wanted to get a quick response. You brought him on to cover this entirely. You didn't have a plan to cover much else.
Answer that, and we can move on to voter fraud.
I've already said I'm critical.
He's answered it how many times?
I'm critical of it. I don't think it makes sense.
Has the leadership been vocal enough about that?
That's up to them to get on your show and talk about that.
Okay,
I'm not gonna, say.
Okay, you're not gonna give them advice. Got it.
So I think they did talk a little bit about the issues he was voter fraud and stuff after that. I'm sure, yeah, they'll be like, oh, Russia voter fraud, blah blah blah, but it's just amazing. Over 5.5 minutes on this stupid tweet from a guy who isn't saying anything because he doesn't really agree with the tweet, but he doesn't think it's a big issue, and he said it over and over and tried to tell them to move on, and they just wouldn't, and she's like, oh, I agree with you, but let's keep talking about it. The only way this makes sense is when she has to have orders from above to cover it like this. And we know through Project Veritas that that's exactly what's happening. It's coming directly from the CEO of CNN. So this is, they're not learning, apparently. I thought they would learn at least a little bit, but judging by this, they're not. Have a good one, guys.